There's this image that you see everywhere in mythology, in fantasy. It's almost become a cliche.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. The world turtle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The idea that our whole reality, I mean, the continents, the oceans, everything, it's all resting on the backs of giant elephants.
And the elephants are standing on the shell of a massive, colossal tortoise swimming through some kind of cosmic sea.
Right. It's turtles all the way down. Isn't that the saying?
That's the one. It pops up everywhere. Terry Pratchett's Discworld is probably the most famous, but you see it in Stephen King in ancient myths.
And usually when you see it in pop culture, it's treated with a bit of, I don't know, whimsy. It's a fun sort of imaginative picture of how ancient people tried to make sense of a world floating in space.
A charming but primitive cosmology.
Yeah. But today, we're doing something a little different. We're going back to the user manual. We are cracking open Kurma Purana.
And that changes the context completely. Because in the source material, the tortoise isn't just, a biological curiosity or some weird architectural choice for the universe.
No.
It's a profound theological statement.
Right. We're looking specifically at the Purva Bhaga, which is the first section of this huge Sanskrit text, and Kurma in the title. Well, that's the tortoise.
But what we're finding in the research, it isn't just some creature feature. It's a really complex framework about time, about consciousness, and duty.
And if we really want to get what this text is about, we have to look at the mission statement that's hidden inside it. We're not just reading stories about gods shape-shifting into animals. We're looking at the concept of avatar, of incarnation.
And the text is trying to answer a very specific question. Why does the infinite, the formless divine, even bother to take a physical shape?
And the answer isn't just, it was bored.
No, not at all. The text is very explicit. The phrase it uses is jagaditaya,
Which means?
For the welfare of the world.
That's the lens. That is the lens we're going to use for this entire deep dive. Welfare. I mean, it sounds almost like a government program, but here,
It's cosmic.
it's totally cosmic. Every single time a god turns into a tortoise or a boar or a pillar of fire, the text is telling you it's an act of service.
It's like the universe is engaging in self-care.
That's a great way to put it. It's the divine making sure the whole system keeps running so that life can flourish.
So we have a huge roadmap ahead of us today. We've got a king who basically creates a vacuum in his own life just to find the truth.
We've got the hard science of how the universe was built, which gets surprisingly technical.
Oh yeah, and then there's a rescue mission with a giant boar.
A corporate dispute between the creator and the preserver.
And finally, the battery that powers the entire machine, the goddess. But we have to start at the beginning. We have to start with the framing story.
The encounter.
So set the scene for us. Introduce us to King Indradyumna. This is the human anchor for the whole text, isn't he? He really is. So Chapter 1 introduces him as this ruler of immense power. I mean, he checks all the boxes for a successful ancient monarch.
Got it. Lineage, wealth, armies.
The whole package. But the text makes a point of showing us that he reaches a kind of saturation point. He realizes that political administration, no matter how good you are at it, doesn't actually solve the fundamental problem of existence.
But the problem being mortality. Or something deeper.
Mortality, yeah, but also the whole cycle of rebirth. He wants moksha. He wants out of the loop.
So he does something pretty drastic.
He does. He abdicates. He hands the keys of the kingdom to his children, which is an important detail, by the way. He doesn't just abandon his duty. He transfers it properly.
Right.
And then he enters the Vanaprastha ashrama. He becomes a forest dweller.
I think it's easy for us to just gloss over that, but can you imagine the psychology there? You go from sleeping in a palace surrounded by servants.
Just sleeping on the ground.
You go from commanding armies to just commanding your own breath.
It's a complete deconstruction of the ego, a total teardown, and it's in this state of stripped-down vulnerability, that the encounter happens.
Okay, so where is he? What's he doing?
The text says he's bathing in the ocean, probably performing some kind of ritual ablutions, when he meets Kurma, the tortoise.
Now, is he seeing like a regular turtle and having a vision? Or is this a physical thing? How does the text present it?
The text treats it as a concrete reality. This is really happening. But Indradyumna, because of all his penance, he has the spiritual clarity to see past the shell, so to speak.
And he asks the question.
He asks, "Who are you?"
And the answer is the first really big aha moment of the entire Purana.
It is. The tortoise replies, "I am the supreme soul. I am the source of all."
Imagine the dissonance of that. A reptile is telling you it's the architect of reality.
But instead of running away screaming, Indradyumna recognizes Vishnu. He gets it, and he begins to praise him.
And this brings us right back to our theme, to welfare. Because usually when you meet a god in these stories, you ask for something, right? You ask for a magic weapon or immortality or a son.
Yes, there's always a transaction.
Yeah.
But what happens here?
Here, the welfare is intellectual. It's educational. Vishnu realizes that Indradyumna isn't looking for a boon. He's a genuine seeker. He sees a soul that is ready to understand the machinery of the universe.
So the tortoise decides to teach.
The tortoise decides to run a seminar. And the Kurm Purana, the text we're analyzing, is basically framed as the curriculum for that lesson.
So God manifests as a tortoise, not to fight some demon, but to teach a class.
Precisely. Which suggests that ignorance is a form of suffering, maybe the worst form of suffering, and therefore providing knowledge is the ultimate act of welfare.
Huh. That's a powerful idea. If you save someone's life, they'll die eventually anyway.
But if you give them knowledge of the soul, you save them forever. That's a huge distinction. And the curriculum, it's not light reading. The text immediately pivots from this story into what I was calling the architecture of reality. This is chapter 4, the Prakriti Sarga.
The creation from nature. This is where we get deep into Sankhya philosophy.
I have to admit, reading through the source notes on this section, I felt like I was reading a physics paper from a completely different civilization. It's so systematic.
It is. Sankhya is one of the oldest dualistic philosophies in India. And it posits that there are two eternal realities. One is Purusha, and the other is Prakriti.
Okay, let's break those down. Purusha and Prakriti.
So Purusha is pure consciousness, spirit, the witness. It's completely static. It doesn't do anything. It just observes.
And Prakriti.
Prakriti is nature, matter, energy. It's the dynamic, active force that executes everything. It's the stuff that gets made.
So it's kind of like the cinema screen and the movie.
That is a really good analogy. Yeah, Purusha is the white screen. It's always there. It's totally unaffected by the drama. Prakriti is the film itself, the light, the colors, the story playing out on it. Without the screen, the movie has nowhere to be shown.
And without the movie, the screen is just blank.
Exactly.
Okay, so the text describes the evolution of the universe, starting from this interaction. And the sequence is what just blew my mind. Because in our modern science, we think Big Bang, then hydrogen, then stars, then planets.
And then way, way down the line, brains and consciousness finally evolve.
Right, materialism. Matter comes first, mind comes last.
But the Kurm Purana just flips it on its head.
Completely. The text says that from the unmanifest nature, the very first thing to evolve is Mahat.
Cosmic intelligence.
The universe thinks before it exists physically.
Exactly. And from Mahat, from that cosmic intelligence, comes Ahankara.
Now, Ahankara usually gets translated as ego. But we're not talking about the universe being, like, arrogant, are we?
No. And this is a really crucial definition. In this context, Ahankara means the I-making principle. It is the principle of individuation. Think about it. Before you can have this atom and that atom, you need the concept of separation. You need the capacity for identity. So the ego here is the software protocol that allows things to be distinct from one another.
That is fascinating. So identity actually precedes matter.
Yes. And from Ahankara, you then get the 10 matras.
The subtle elements.
Right. The idea of sound, the idea of touch, sight, taste, and smell. And then finally, from those blueprints, you get the gross physical elements. Ether, air, fire, water, earth.
It's like a cascading waterfall. It goes from the most subtle thing imaginable, intelligence, all the way down to the most dense earth.
And this process creates the physical universe. But the text doesn't just leave it as a pile of mud. It organizes it into the Brahmanda, the cosmic egg.
I love the imagery here. The universe as an egg. It's so contained.
It's a universal archetype. You see it in so many cultures. But the Kurma Purana gets weirdly specific about the engineering of this egg.
Yeah.
It says that everything we know, the stars, the planets, the 7 continents, the oceans, it's all inside the yolk, basically. But it's the shell of the egg that really conveys the true scale of things.
The layers.
The layers. The text describes the egg being wrapped in 7 coverings. First, water, then fire, then air, then ether, and so on. But here's the kicker.
Go on.
Each layer is 10 times the magnitude of the one inside it.
Wait, say that again?
Each layer is 10 times bigger than the one it's surrounding.
I tried to do the math on that in my head and my brain just shut down.
It's impossible math. If the physical universe we're in is X size, then the water shell around it is 10x. The fire shell around that is 100x. The air shell is 1000x.
So by the time you get to the outermost layer,
By the time you get there, our entire physical universe where all our wars and loves and history happen is a microscopic speck, a rounding error.
it feels like the text is deliberately trying to induce a sense of vertigo in the reader.
It is absolutely designed to crush human anthropocentrism. It's telling Enjadiamna, you were a king, you ruled a kingdom, your kingdom is a grain of sand inside another grain of sand.
And if that spatial scale isn't enough to humble you, Chapter 5 comes along with the time scale to finish the job. The Kalasankhya.
The calculation of time. This is where the text moves from particle physics to relativity. It starts with the smallest unit, a nimesha.
The blink of an eye.
Yeah, the blink of an eye, which is relatable. We all know what that feels like.
Sure.
But then it scales up exponentially. Blinks become moments, moments become days, days become years, and then we hit the yugas.
The 4 great ages. Satya, Treta, Dvapara, and Kali.
A cycle of cosmic decline from a golden age to an iron age.
Right.
But even that entire cycle of yugas, all those millions of years, they're just small gears in a much bigger clock. The text introduces the kalpa.
The day of Brahma.
Exactly. One day in the life of the creator god. And one of his days consists of 1,000 cycles of the 4 yugas.
1,000 cycles. And that's just his daytime, like 12 hours of his time.
Correct. That's his daytime. Then he has a night of equal length. And during that night, the universe undergoes pralaya dissolution.
So it's destroyed.
More like reabsorbed into potential. It just ceases to exist in a manifest form. Then Brahma wakes up, and he creates it all over again for the next day.
It's an oscillating universe. It's like a heartbeat, a cosmic heartbeat.
An eternal heartbeat. And the text really emphasizes that this has no beginning. There was never a first kalpa. It has just been pulsing like this forever.
So let's go back to Indradyumna, sitting there on the beach listening to this.
Yeah.
If you really internalize this, it's terrifying.
It's the ultimate existential crisis.
It means nothing lasts.
Yeah.
Not your statues, not your books, not your entire species. It all just gets wiped in the cosmic night.
Yeah.
If time devours everything, why does anything even matter? Why get out of bed in the morning?
And that is the exact point where the welfare theme has to step in to save the day. Because the text doesn't end with, everything is pointless, goodbye.
No.
It pivots. It says that precisely because the world is so fragile, and precisely because it's the stage where souls get to evolve, the divine is fiercely protective of it while it exists. The impermanence makes the maintenance even more critical.
Which leads us to maybe the most dramatic example of this maintenance in the whole text. Chapter 6. The earth is in trouble.
This is the account of the Varaha avatar, the boar incarnation.
Okay, so the scene is set during one of these dissolutions, a pralaya. But it's a watery catastrophe. The earth has literally sunk into the Ekarnava, the single vast cosmic ocean.
The text describes the earth as being lost. It's submerged in the mud at the bottom of this infinite sea. And this is a crisis because, like we said, the earth is the platform for life. If there's no stage, the play can't go on.
So Vishnu has to intervene, but he doesn't come down as some radiant angel or a shining king. He chooses a very specific, very earthy form. A boar.
A wild pig.
Why? I mean, of all the majestic creatures out there, a lion, an eagle,
Wow.
why a pig?
The text is actually very poetic about this. A boar is a creature of the earth. It roots around, it digs. It's amphibious in a way. It's comfortable in the swamp. It's comfortable on dry land.
Yeah.
It's a symbol of raw, primal strength. The source describes him as being massive like a mountain, dark like a rain cloud, and roaring like thunder.
That's a very visceral image. This isn't a polite deity. This is a force of nature.
And he dives. That's the verb to focus on. He plunges into those dark, chaotic waters. He tracks the earth by scent again, very animalistic. He finds the planet down in the muck, and he lifts it onto his tusks.
The image of the earth resting on the tusks of a cosmic boar, rising out of the primordial ocean. It's pure heavy metal.
It is, but look at the intention behind it. The text explicitly says he does this desiring the welfare of the world. He's not showing off his strength. He is performing a rescue.
He doesn't just drop it somewhere.
No, once he surfaces, he restores it. He levels the land, he divides the oceans, he carves out the mountains again. He basically acts as a terraformer. He reconstructs the habitat so that beings can live there again.
This feels like the absolute core definition of that welfare concept we're tracking. The divine isn't just watching from a cloud. The divine is getting its hands or its tusks dirty.
Exactly, and it validates the physical world. If the material one was just some illusion to be escaped, why would Vishnu bother saving it? The fact that he dives into the mud to rescue it implies that this place, this messy, muddy earth, has immense value. It is worth saving.
But the Kurma Purana is also honest enough to show that while the ultimate divine might be benevolent, the guys in middle management, well, they have some ego issues.
Well, the middle management of the cosmos. You must be talking about Chapter 10, The Great Debate.
This scene felt so incredibly human to me. You have Brahma, the creator, and Vishnu, the preserver.
Yeah.
And they're just standing there arguing about who's the boss.
It's a classic power struggle. Brahma claims supremacy because he's the grandfather. He physically creates all the beings.
Right, I made all this.
But then Vishnu counters by reminding Brahma of his origin, that Brahma himself was born from the lotus that grew out of Vishnu's own navel.
Check your navel has to be one of the most devastating comebacks in a theological debate.
It really is. But the text frames this whole argument as a symptom of Maya, of delusion. Even these high-level cosmic functionaries, when they identify too strongly with their job titles, I am the creator, I am the preserver, they lose sight of the ultimate truth. They fall into duality.
So how does the universe resolve a fight between two of its top gods?
It interrupts them. Suddenly, a massive linga appears between them.
A pillar.
A pillar of fire and light. And the text describes it as Anadi Nidhana. It has no beginning and no end. It just pierces the entire universe, going infinitely up and infinitely down. It blazes with the brilliance of 1,000 suns.
And this just stops the argument cold.
It makes their little debate seem so petty. They realize there's something here that completely dwarfs both of them. So being competitive guys, they decide to investigate. They make a bet.
A contest to find the ends of the pillar.
That's it. And they stick to their signature moves. Brahma becomes a Swanahamsa to fly up and find the top.
And Vishnu becomes the boar again to dig down and find the bottom.
And they go at it for 1,000 years.
That number again.
Yes. 1,000 years of continuous flight. 1,000 years of continuous digging. And the result?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Brahma cannot find the top. Vishnu cannot find the bottom.
That's a very long time to spend realizing you're not the center of the universe.
They return to the starting point, completely exhausted and humbled. Their egos are shattered. They bow down to the pillar. And that is when the revelation happens.
Shiva emerges.
Lord Maheshwara steps out of the pillar of light, and he gives them the answer they were looking for. He explains the true nature of the Trinity.
So what's the explanation? Because we usually see them as three separate guys doing three different jobs.
Shiva explains that they are Ankatasha. They are of one single essence. The ultimate reality is singular, but it functions in three different modes.
Okay.
When that one reality creates, we call it Brahma, and it's associated with rajas or passion. When it protects and preserves, we call it Vishnu, associated with sattva, or purity.
And when it dissolves?
When it dissolves, it is Rudra, or Shiva, associated with tamas, or darkness and inertia.
So it's kind of like water. Water can be ice, it can be liquid, it can be steam. It's all just H2O. But its function depends on its state.
That is a perfect analogy. You can't say the steam is better than the ice. They're just different phases of the same substance. Shiva tells them, you are my parts. And this resolves the conflict.
So the welfare here is the restoration of unity. The argument caused division, and the revelation brings it all back together.
Exactly.
But speaking of Rudra Shiva's form as the destroyer, the text gives a backstory in Chapter 8 that paints him as, well, pretty volatile right from birth.
Oh, yes, the birth of Rudra. It's a fascinating psychological myth. So Brahma was trying to create beings to populate the new universe. He created 4 mental sons, the Sanat Kumaras.
Right.
But these sons were born with perfect wisdom. They took one look at the world, saw it was full of suffering, and basically said, no thanks, we're not going to have families and get entangled, we're just going to meditate.
So Brahma's first attempt at a workforce went on strike immediately.
Exactly. And Brahma was furious. He needed to build a population. His frustration and his anger just coalesced in his forehead. It became this knot of burning energy. And from that anger, a child burst forth.
A crying child.
A howling child. The name Rudra comes from the root rud, which means to cry or to roar. He was literally born screaming.
And this isn't just a tantrum, is it? This is some kind of cosmic dissonance.
Right. Brahma asks him why he's crying. The child says, I need a name. I need an identity. So Brahma names him Rudra, but he keeps crying. He says he needs more. So Brahma gives him 7 more names and 8 forms to go with them.
And these forms connect him directly to the physical world.
Yes. The names correspond to the sun, the water, the earth, the fire, the air, the ether, the moon, and the initiate, which represents the individual soul. This is the Ashtamurti, the 8-fold form of Shiva.
That completely changes my view of the destroyer. If Shiva is the water and the sun and the air, then he isn't just about death, he is the environment itself.
He is the volatile, raw power of the environment. The sun that warms you is the same sun that can burn you. The water that quenches your thirst is the same water that can drown the world. That is Rudra. He's the terrifying, beautiful power of nature.
Okay, so we have the structure of reality, we have the cosmic rescue, and we have the restoration of unity. But any machine needs a power source. And the Kurm Purana is very clear that the power source is distinct.
Now we have to talk about the Devi, the goddess.
In chapters 11 and 12, we get a dialogue that kind of mirrors the opening one. This time it's King Himavan, who is the personification of the Himalaya mountains.
Right.
And he's talking to the great goddess. And he asks her the big question, what is your true nature?
And her answer is one of the most assertive theological statements in the entire text. She declares herself as Shakti. Power, capacity, energy. She explains her relationship with Shiva. Shiva is the consciousness. He's that static witnessing screen we talked about earlier. But she is the kinetic energy. She is the movie being played on the screen. She says, I am the Maya that binds the world, and I am the knowledge that frees it.
That's a paradox, though.
Yeah.
She's both the trap and the key.
Think of it like a video game designer. The designer creates the level, the obstacles, the enemies. That's the binding, the challenge of the game.
Okay.
But the designer also places the power-ups, the clues, and the exit door. That's the liberation. She is both. She creates the illusion of separation so the game can be played, but she also provides the grace you need to finish the game.
The text then describes her revealing her cosmic form to Himavan, the Vishwarupa. And if the boar was heavy metal, this is, I don't even know what this is, a psychedelic symphony.
It's completely overwhelming. The text describes her with millions of arms holding every weapon you can imagine. The trident, the discus, the bow, the sword. She has eyes like the sun and the moon. She is wearing the universe like a garment.
And she's holding weapons, which brings us back to welfare. Why does the Great Mother need a sword?
Because the world contains danger. She explicitly states that she manifests to protect the righteous and to destroy evil. When the balance of dharma is upset, when the demons, which you can interpret as external tyrants or your own internal vices, start to take over, she steps in.
So she's the active agent.
Yes. If Vishnu has the grand plan for welfare, you could say Devi is the execution of that plan. She is the force that actually fights the battle on the ground.
The text also lists her names. The Sahasranama, the 1,000 names. And the range is just incredible. She is the destroyer of Mahishasura, the buffalo demon.
But she's also the giver of boons and the one who dwells in the lotus of the heart.
It shows her totality. She's the fierce warrior and the nurturing mother.
Yeah.
The storm and the shelter.
Exactly.
So we've been very cosmic up to this point. Pillars of fire, infinite time, multi-armed goddesses. It's easy to get lost in the clouds. But the Kurm Purana finishes this whole section by bringing it all crashing right down to earth. Literally to the living room.
Chapters 2 and 3, the social structure, Varna, Shrama, Dharma.
Now, when we see terms like caste or class in ancient texts, a lot of modern readers, myself included, kind of recoil. It brings up very valid ethical questions about hierarchy and discrimination.
Of course.
But how does the text itself frame this structure in the context of our theme, welfare? What's the internal logic?
That's the right way to ask the question. We don't have to agree with the social stratification to understand what the text is trying to do.
Yeah.
And the text views society like a single organism, like the cosmic person.
And for the organism to survive, different parts need to do different things.
Specialization, exactly. But where the Kurm Purana gets really interesting, and I'd say surprisingly progressive in a spiritual sense, is its focus on the ashramas, the stages of life.
Okay, so you have the student, the householder, the forest dweller, and the renunciate.
Right. And traditionally, in a lot of spiritual paths, the renunciate, the monk, the sannyasin, he's the hero. He's the one who leaves everything behind to go find God.
Sure.
But the Kurm Purana flips the script. It places a massive emphasis on the grihasta, the householder.
The person with the job, the mortgage, and the kids.
That person. The text argues that the householder is the absolute foundation of the entire system. And why?
Why?
Because the student needs food. Who provides it? The householder. The forest dweller needs protection from bandits. Who provides it? The householder's taxes pay for the army. The renunciate needs alms to survive. Who provides them? The householder.
So the householder is the economic engine that actually allows spirituality to exist as a practice in society.
Precisely. The text says that by fulfilling your duties to your family and your community, by engaging in honest work, by practicing charity, you are performing a type of karma yoga. You are worshiping the divine through your actions in the world.
I really like how that connects all the way back to the boar.
Make the connection for me.
Well, Vishnu becomes a boar to physically lift the earth to save it, right? The householder lifts their family and their community through their work and support. They both have to dive into the mud of the material world in order to support others.
That is a beautiful insight. It really is. It aligns the domestic sphere with the cosmic sphere. Supporting a family isn't a distraction from your spiritual life. In this view, it is your spiritual life. It's an act of Jagaritaya. It's welfare in action.
And the text gives some practical advice for the Dark Age, the Kali Yuga we're supposedly in. It acknowledges that things get tough. Corruption rises, institutions fail.
But the solution isn't to just retreat to a cave.
No. The solution is remarkably simple. The text emphasizes 3 core virtues for the common person.
Dana.
Charity, satya,
Truth.
and daya.
Compassion.
It's kind of striking that after discussing billion-year time cycles and 10-dimensional cosmic eggs, the final instruction is basically, be nice, tell the truth, share what you have.
Because those are the things that are within our control. We can't control the pralaya, we can't control the dissolution of the universe, but we can control whether or not we speak the truth in the next 5 minutes. We can control whether we help the person standing right next to us.
That's how we participate in the welfare of the world.
Exactly. We align our micro-actions with the macro-actions of the divine. If the universe is a machine that's built for welfare, then our job is to be a functioning gear in that machine, not a wrench in the works.
We have been on quite a journey today. We started with a king who was looking for meaning. We saw the blueprint of the entire cosmos. We saw God as a tortoise, a boar, and a pillar of light. We saw the goddess as the cosmic energy source.
And we ended up right at the kitchen table realizing that just being a good person is a cosmic duty.
From the infinite to the immediate. That really is the genius of these Puranas.
It is.
Before we wrap up, there's one final thought from the text that I'm still chewing on. We talked about time kala and how it destroys everything.
Yeah.
Eventually the egg breaks.
Right.
But the text lists one of the names of the divine as Kala Kala.
The death of death, or the destroyer of time.
It implies that there is something, that Purusha, that spirit, that stands completely outside the clock.
It suggests that while our bodies and our buildings and our civilizations are all subject to the day of Brahma, the core of who we are is not. The witness is not destroyed when the movie ends.
So here's my question for you, for everyone listening. If a part of us is genuinely timeless, then why do we get so stressed out when we're stuck in traffic for 10 minutes?
That's the ultimate question, isn't it? That's the gap between knowing the philosophy and actually living it. And that's why these texts exist, to remind us over and over and over again.
Something to think about the next time you feel that clock ticking. Thanks for diving deep with us into the Kurm Purana. It's been a trip.
My pleasure. It was fascinating.
See you in the next deep dive.